Hello, vintage outboard motor fans. This is T-Mike here in South Louisiana, making another video today. Today's video is going to be a unique video. I'm going to name it the Long Distance Repair Project. Okay, so I recently shipped restore number 115 to Mike in New York. A beautiful 1958 18 horsepower Johnson FD-12. Beautiful restore, ran great, perfectly well done. Shipped it via UPS. Had the extra good packaging on it with the foam inside, double wall box, guaranteed to be delivered safe, and it didn't make it there safe. I don't know how UPS could have done this to this motor, but the steering bracket was broken, the prop is bent, the handle grip broken, several scratches on the hood. I'm not sure how this happened, but it happened. So I have insurance on it, and I'm working with UPS right now to try to get restitution, but they want to take possession of the motor if they pay me. So I'm not happy with UPS at all, but disregard that. I'm bound and determined to help Mike get his motor restored back to its original condition, like it left T-Mike's shop. So I'm gonna take another 18 apart and send Mike the parts necessary to bring it back to its mint condition via long distance. I'm gonna call it the long distance repair. So I'm gonna give all the details. I'm gonna ship the parts to him, and I'm gonna make this video showing how, when he receives the parts, show him how to take the old parts off and put the new parts on. So this video is dedicated to Mike, and I thought all of you rest of you would enjoy watching it. So here we go with the long distance repair project. If everybody's ready, here we go. All right, here's my another 1958 Johnson 18 horsepower FD-12 that I have. It's got a frozen power head on it. So what broken on Mike's motor, as you saw by the pictures, is the steering bracket. This right here just broke right off. The handle's damaged. I think it even bent the bracket that the handle's on, because there's some damage to the hood right here. So I have an idea on how to make this easy on Mike, and I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna do that right now. Okay, so what Mike needs is he needs this steering bracket and the housing. So my idea is this. That motor has three components in it. It's got the power head, it's got the gear case, all right, and it's got the midsection. I'm gonna call it the midsection. So my idea is to remove the power head, which takes, I think there's 6 bolts underneath here, and there's three bolts on top, and the whole power head assembly comes right off. You do have to take the shift off. You have to take this tower, disconnect this tower, because it holds it down, and you have to disconnect the gas fuel line. When you take those 3 things off, this power head lifts right off. Then the gear case, when you remove the shift rod connector bolt and these 4 bolts underneath here and this bolt, the gear case comes out, and you're left with the midsection. So and you got to take this lower cowling off, which I think it's 8 screws underneath here, and this lower cowling base comes off. So I'm gonna video myself taking those 2 parts off, and then I'm gonna restore the midsection, make it look new, ship it to Mike. Mike can take his power head and gear case off, set this midsection on his rack, put his power head back on, and here's gear case back on with the lower cowling base right here, and he should be back in business. I think that's the right thing to do, even though it's not my fault. UPS did that. I did choose them as the carrier, and it didn't work out. Probably won't happen again. So I'm gonna make it right for Mike and walk him through this. That's what this video is about. So here we go. I think I'm gonna take the power head off first. Okay, Mike, here we go with the long distance repair. So again, what we're going to do, we're going to remove the power head, then we're going to remove the lower cowling, and then we're going to remove the gear case. I'm going to restore the midsection, put the midsection back here, put the gear case on, and put the lower cowling on, and then put the power head back on. So those are the steps. So I have my bench all cleaned out right here. So as we take this apart, I'm gonna lay the parts out in order, going this way. So when we go to reassemble it, we just use the parts going back this way, and everything should go well. So here's the tools you need for taking the power head off. Large screwdriver, 1/2 inch wrenches. Took a 1/2 inch wrench and shaved off the ends here because it's kind of tight to get in there. And if you can't get them out, then I use a driving screwdriver and a ball peen hammer to knock the bolts off. I'll show you which ones that applies to. So here we go. First thing we got to do is disconnect 3 things from this power head so it'll move out. One thing is the clip that holds the tower to the magneto. So I'll take that clip, set it right here. And the next thing we're going to need to remove is these 2 screws. That's a retaining strap that holds the tower in place. When I remove these 2 screws, this tower just comes right out. I'm going to do that now. Okay, I removed the 2 screws in the strap, and the tower came right out. There's the 2 screws in the strap and the tower. All right, that was easy. Now we got to remove the connecting fuel line. I'm going to remove it at the carburetor right here. I'm going to remove that fuel line so we can pull it out. I'm going to do that now. Okay, I got the fuel line removed from the carburetor. In your case, you're going to have a clamp here. You have to unscrew to remove this fuel line. Also, have to remove the pressure line that goes down to the tank. This one right here. All right, I'm going to remove that one now. All right, I got the 2 fuel line removed. And now, the last thing we have to remove is the shift lever. All right, so I'm going to remove the spring right in here, take the spring off, and then loosen this nut right here. Take that nut completely off, and the shift lever just comes right out. I'm going to do that now. Okay, I got the shift lever removed. Took a 1/2 inch wrench to take this bolt out, and notice that they have a washer on the other side of this lever when you put it back on. All right, now power head's ready to go. So what I do is I lift the motor up, keep the bolts. There's 3 bolts that you got to take off. You've already found those bolts, 1 here and 2 on this side, and you told me you already know where those are. So there's 5 slotted screws to take off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna remove those screws now. Power head will stay in place because the nut's on top right here. All right, so I'm gonna remove those now. Okay, I got my 5 slotted screws off. Mine were a little tough to get off. I have to actually use an impact driver tool to get them off. Yours ought to come right out because I cleaned and retreaded them. All right, now we got the hardest part, which ain't too bad. You got 3, 1 right there, 1 here. You got 1 underneath here, right there, and you got 1 right here to get out. They're 1/2 inch. Like I said, I'm gonna try it with this wrench. Then I'm gonna use this slotted one. If not, I'm gonna use my screwdriver to back them out. All right, here I go with that. All right, I got all 3 of them out. I got this one out. This is the hard one to get to. I actually had to use my screwdriver. Can't really get a wrench in there very good. And this one was easy to get out. So, took out the 3 nuts, 1/2-inch nuts. I did have to remove this rubber grommet there to be able to reach it. So, got everything loose, and look at here. This power head wants to come right off. So I'm gonna lift that power head out and set it aside. I'm gonna do that now. Power head wants to come out, but I forgot to mention the kill switch. Yours probably has some connectors. You just have to disconnect them. Probably some blue connectors when I spliced it back. I'm gonna clip these so the power head will come off, and then I can reconnect them. Okay, power head is off. I'm gonna set it right there because that's the order we're gonna put it back on. Now we're gonna take off the lower cowling. There's a screw right here on the top that holds it in, and there's 4 screws underneath. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to keep it in one piece and pull it off of there. So I'm going to do that now. All right, easy peasy, Penelope easy. Took the 5 bolts off. There's the lower cowling. Cool. All right, one last step. It's going to be to take the gear case off. So we're going to start by removing this cover and getting into the shift rod connector that connects the upper shift rod and the lower shift rod. So here we go with that. Okay, I got this shift rod cover off. Those are 2 screws in the cover. Now the shift rod connector is right here. I'm going to take a 3/8 nut driver and take off the bottom nut. Just take that screw off, pull it out, and that should release the shift rod. I'm going to do that now. Okay, I got that bottom nut removed. Set it right there. That releases the shift rod. Now we got these 4 bolts underneath. Take out, I believe they're 3/8, and then I think this is a 9/16 bolt that holds this in. I'm going to take these 4 bolts out first, and then when I remove this bolt, gear case ought to drop right down. Here I go with that. Okay, I got the 4 outer ring bolts off. It took a 7/16 wrench, and I've loosened this one. It takes a 9/16 wrench. I've loosened this one. Gear case ought to drop right out. Sometimes you got to pry it a little bit. There it is. Gear case out. I'm going to set that on the bench. Alright, Mike, so we have successfully removed the power head, the lower cowling, and the gear case. All we have left is the midsection. Now I'm going to take that, take it over on my bench over there, and I'm going to break it apart and restore it and ship it to you. I'm also, after I restore it, I'm going to go through the procedure of putting it back together for you so you can walk through the video. I timed myself. It took 25 minutes. Take it apart, so I'm assuming it's going to take about the same time to put together, so an hour's worth of work on your part, and we ought to have this back together. All right, buddy. Now I get to go cleaning and painting now. Here we go. Okay, Mike, here's the not so fun part. I got your midsection completely apart. As you can see, it's pretty rough shape. Pretty dirty. A lot of work involved in cleaning this up. Thanks to UPS. I want a special shout out to UPS for breaking this motor and causing me to have to do all this, but I'll do it. I'm gonna clean this. You won't recognize it when it gets through. Here's all your rubber mounts, nuts and bolts. The handle is cracked just like yours was cracked, so I'll have to try to find another one of those. The throttle gear here is broken off. I'll have to try to find another one of those. A lot of replacement parts involved in this. UPS. Anyway, I'm having fun. I'll let you know with another video when I got it cleaned and painted, Mike. Here we go. All right, I got the midsection cleaned. It was pretty dirty. But I got all the parts cleaned. Got parts replaced, broken parts been replaced. I cleaned it using WD-40 and a wire brush, and then wiped it down, and then sprayed it with simple green and a soft bristle brush on a drill. Got it all dried up. Next step is going to be to sand it using my DeWalt sander. I start with 120 grit and finish it off with 220 grit. Sanding is next, and then painting. Here we go. Here we go with the first coat of paint. I'm using the Vintage Outboard paints, Holiday Bronze 1958. Put the first coat on real lightly. Second coat a little thicker, and third coat fairly thick. It's acrylic enamel, so it's got a nice acrylic shine to it. Coming out pretty good. Take a couple of days to do this. Got to let it dry really good. It is fast drying paint though, but looking pretty good, Mike. And what we have here is a disassembled, cleaned, sanded, painted midsection for Mike. You wouldn't recognize it from the shape it was in before, but it is repainted, shined up, ready for assembly. I'm gonna put it back together. Should be ready to ship. But before I ship it, I'm gonna actually demonstrate how to put all the components back on it from Mike, so that when he gets it, he can replace his broken stern bracket. That'll be the next part of the video. Moving on. All right, so here's the refurb midsection that I'm gonna ship to Mike. Before I ship it to him, I'm gonna actually reinstall the gear case, the cowling, and the power head on it to step Mike through exactly how to do it. First step is we're gonna wanna stab the gear case back in place. The water tube right here has to feed into the water tube inlet right here. The drive shaft is going to come up through here in the opening, and the lower shift rod is going to come here and meet this shift rod connector that doesn't have the bolt in it right here. So we want to put the shift lever all the way in forward. That brings the connector all the way up here. And the way that connector works is this shift rod is got a slot in it, and when that connector that's in there is placed over it right here, this bolt feeds through here and screws in, and that bolt catches this rod right here and holds it in place. So that's what we're trying to do. I'm gonna set my camera up on a tripod and show Mike how to use a light to make sure that the water tube connects, and how to connect that shift rod. So here I go with that. All right, so I got the gear case. I'm gonna feed the drive shaft up in there. I'm gonna take a light and I'm gonna spot the water tube. I can see the water tube is in the water pump housing grommet where it needs to be. Now I got the gear case placed in there. I'm going to take the long bolt. Remember, we're working our way backwards on the bench. I'm going to take the long bolt. Get it started. Now the long bolt holds the gear case in place. Now take the 4 bolts that go in each side right here. I'm going to take my wrenches and tighten up all the bolts. Okay, I got my long bolt tightened. I got all 4 of these bolts tightened. Now the shift rod connector. So my shift rod is right there. I'm going to take my shift handle and bring it down using a pair of needle nose to keep that shift rod up. At the same time, I'm going to move my handle down. And I got the shift rod in place. All I got to do is put the bolt right in there. And tighten it up, and everything will be cool. I put my cover back on my shift rod connector opening, and now working our way backwards from here. Well, first of all, I'm gonna put the exhaust baffle on. Okay, I got the exhaust baffle on. Now we're working our way backwards on the bench here. So we have to put the lower cowling on first. Remember? And here's the 1, 2, 3, 4 screws that are underneath. And we have the 1 screw that was on top. Got to put those back in. Okay. So now, after you've done that, Mike, it's time to set the power head back on. So, of course, the crankshaft opening right here fits over the drive shaft. So you just place the motor on there. These 3 hole bolts line up with the bottom, and you have to make these splines sit. So if it doesn't go in, you have to take a wrench and turn the drive shaft a little bit until it fits and slips. It all slip on. I'm gonna do that now. All right, I'll take the power head, match up those 3 bolts. And if it don't slip on, that means the drive shaft needs to be spun a little bit. I'll take it off. Spin the drive shaft just a little bit. Match the 3 holes up. Still don't match up, so I'm going to spin the drive shaft just a little more. And there you go, fit right on. So you just got to spin the drive shaft a little bit at a time. There's 4 splines that's got to match up with the top. Once you get it in the right spot, fits right on there. Ha ha, got it. Okay, now working our way back on the bench, you got the 3 bolts that go in these spots that you took them off. And then you got the 5 screws that go in underneath here in the same spot you took them off. All right, after that, we're going to put the shift handle back in. It goes in through this slots, wraps around here, and bolts in right there. Remember how you did it? And then the spring goes in this slot right here and up against this on the shaft, just like you took it out. Then we're gonna put the grommet back in place here. We're gonna take the throttle control. It goes right through the grommet. Goes back inside, and slots on the tower. Go inside the pinion gear just like that. Then remember, this mag plate goes on that hole right there. Well, first of all, you got to put your strap back in right here. The strap goes back in place here. Then the magneto pin goes on here, and you put the spring clip back on. All right, and the only thing left to do is connect your fuel lines from here to here and from here to here, and you should be good to go. Now I'm going to take her apart so I can ship the midsection to you. All right, so here we have it. Here is the midsection. The midsection that's going to Mike in New York. Has been refurbed. Handle turns just fine, Mike. Nice and easy. Alright. So Mike is going to take this midsection and replace it on his motor. Hopefully that'll take care of the problem. And that ends part 1 of the long distance repair video. Hopefully part 2 I'll get some pictures and maybe some video from Mike on the progress of the project and how it came out, and then we'll see just an example of good customer service from T Mike's Vintage Outboards, working with a great guy up in New York, making his birthday present come true. Hope you'll enjoy the video. Stay tuned for part 2. See you on the next video. Hope you enjoyed the video. Here at T Mike's Vintage Outboards, we're doing it one motor at a time. Please click on subscribe. I guarantee to provide weekly videos. Thank you very much. Au revoir, mes amis, and laissez les bon temps rouler. Aïe!